Attestation. The words of Indubsir, master scribe, son of Eridu's city, servant of the Lord Enki, great God. In the 7th year after the great calamity, in the 2nd month, on the 17th day, I was summoned by my master the Lord Enki, great God, benevolent fashioner of mankind, omnipotent and merciful. I was among the remnants of Eridu who had escaped to the arid steppe just as the evil wind was nearing the city. And I wandered off into the wilderness to seek withered twigs for firewood. And I looked up, and lo and behold, a whirlwind came out of the south. There was a reddish brilliance about it, and it made no sound. And as it reached the ground, 4 straight feet spread out from its belly, and the brilliance disappeared. And I threw myself to the ground and prostrated myself, for I knew that it was a divine vision. And when I lifted my eyes, there were 2 divine emissaries standing near me. And they had the faces of men, and their garments were sparkling like burnished brass. And they called me by name and spoke to me, saying,
"You are summoned by the great God the Lord Enki. Fear not, for you are blessed. And we are here to take you aloft, and carry you unto his retreat in the land of Megan, on the island amidst the river of Megan, where the sluices are."
And as they spoke, the whirlwind lifted itself as a fiery chariot and was gone. And they took me by my hands, each one grasping me by one hand. And they lifted me and carried me swiftly between the earth and the heavens as the eagle soars. And I could see the land and the waters, and the plains and the mountains. And they let me down on the island at the gateway of the great God's abode. And the moment they let go of my hands, a brilliance as I had never seen before engulfed and overwhelmed me, and I collapsed on the ground as though voided of the spirit of life. My life senses returned to me, as if awakened from the deepest sleep, by the sound of the calling of my name.
Indubsir, master scribe.
I was in some kind of an enclosure. It was dark, but there was also an aura. Then my name was called again, by the deepest of voices.
Indubsir, master scribe.
And although I could hear it, I could not tell whence the voice came, nor could I see whoever it was that spoke. And I said, "Here I am." Then the voice said to me,
Indubsir, offspring of Adapa, I have chosen you to be my scribe, that you write down my words on the tablets.
And all at once there appeared a glowing in one part of the enclosure. And I saw a place arranged like a scribal workplace, a scribe's table and a scribe's stool, and there were finely shaped stones upon the table. But I saw no clay tablets nor containers of wet clay. And there lay upon the table only one stylus, and it glistened in the glowing as no reed stylus ever did. And the voice spoke up again, saying,
Indubsir, son of Eridu's city, my faithful servant, I am your Lord Enki. I have summoned you to write down my words, for I am much distraught by what has befallen mankind, by the great calamity. It is my wish to record the true course of the events, to let gods and men alike know that my hands are clean. Not since the great deluge had such a calamity befallen the earth and the gods and the earthlings, but the great deluge was destined to happen. Not so the great calamity. This one 7 years ago need not have happened. It could have been prevented, and I, Enki, did all I could to prevent it. Alas, I failed. And was it fate? Or was it destiny? In the future shall it be judged. For at the end of days, a day of judgment, there shall be. On that day, the earth shall quake, and the rivers shall change course, and there shall be darkness at noon, and a fire in the heavens in the night. A day of the returning celestial God will it be. And who shall survive, and who would perish? who shall be rewarded and who will be punished, gods and men alike on that day. Shall it be discovered for what shall come to pass? By what had passed shall be determined, and what was destined shall, in a cycle be repeated. And what was fated, and only by the hearts will occurring for good or ill, shall for judgment come.
The voice fell silent. Then the great Lord spoke up again, saying,
It is for this reason that I will tell the true account of the beginnings and of the prior times, and of the olden times, for in the past, the future, lies hidden. For 40 days and 40 nights shall I speak, and you will write. 40 shall be the count of the days, and the nights of your task here. For 40 is my sacred number among the gods. For 40 days and 40 nights you shall neither eat nor drink. Only this once of bread and water you shall partake, and it shall sustain you for the duration of your task.
And the voice paused, and all at once there appeared a glowing in another part of the enclosure. And I saw a table, and upon it a plate and a cup. And I rose up there too, and there was bread on the plate and water in the cup. And the voice of the great Lord Enki spoke up again, saying,
Indubsir, eat the bread and drink the water, and be sustained for 40 days and 40 nights.
And I did as directed. And thereafter the voice directed me to sit myself at the scribal table, and the glowing there intensified. I could see neither door nor aperture where I was, yet the glowing was as strong as the midday sun. And the voice said,
Indubsir the scribe, what do you see?
And I looked and saw the glowing rayed upon the table and the stones and the stylus, and I said, I see stone tablets, and their hue is blue as pure as the sky. And I see a stylus as I have never seen before, its stem unlike any reed, and its tip shaped like an eagle's talon. And the voice said,
These are the tablets upon which you shall inscribe my words. By my wish, they have been cut of the finest lapis lazuli, each with 2 smooth faces provided. And the stylus you see is a god's handiwork, its handle made of electrum, and its tip of divine crystal. It shall firmly fit in your hand, and what you shall engrave with it shall be as easy as marking upon wet clay. In 2 columns you shall inscribe the front face, in 2 columns you shall inscribe the back of each stone tablet. Do not deviate from my words and utterances.
And there was a pausing, and I touched one of the stones, and the surface thereof felt like a smooth skin, soft to the touch. And I picked up the holy stylus, and it felt like a feather in my hand. And then the great god Enki began to speak, and I began to write down his words, exactly as he had spoken them. At times his voice was strong, at times almost a whisper. At times there was joy or pride in his voice, at times pain or agony. And as one tablet was inscribed on all its faces, I took another to continue. And when the final words were spoken, the great god paused, and I could hear a great sigh. And he said,
Indubsir, my servant, for 40 days and 40 nights, you have faithfully recorded my words. Your task here is completed. Now take hold of another tablet, and on it you shall write your own attestation, and at the end thereof as a witness. Mark it with your seal, and take the tablet, and put it together with the other tablets in the divine chest. For at a designated time chosen, ones shall come hither, and they shall find the chest and the tablets, and they shall learn all that I have dictated to you, and that true account of the beginnings, and the prior times, and the olden times, and the great calamity, shall henceforth be known as the words of the Lord Enki, and it shall be a book of witnessing of the past, and a book of foretelling the future. For the future in the past lies, and the first things shall also be the last things.
And there was a pause, and I took the tablets, and put them one by one in their correct order in the chest. And the chest was made of acacia wood, and it was inlaid with gold on the outside. And the voice of my Lord said,
Now close the chest cover, and fasten its lock.
And I did as directed. And there was another pause, and my Lord Enki said,
And as for you Indubsir, with a great God you have spoken, and though you have not seen me, in my presence you have been. Therefore, you are blessed, and my spokesman to the people you shall be. You shall admonish them to be righteous, for in that lies a good and long life, and you shall comfort them. For in 70 years the cities will be rebuilt, and the crops shall sprout again. There will be peace, but there will also be wars. New nations will become mighty. Kingdoms shall rise and fall. The olden gods shall step aside, and new gods shall decree the fates. But at the end of days destiny shall prevail, and of that future it is foretold in my words about the past. Of all that, in Dubser to the people you shall tell.
And there was a pause and a silence. And I, in Dubser, bowed to the ground and said, "But how will I know what to say?" And the voice of the Lord Enki said,
The signs will be in the heavens, and the words to utter shall come to you in dreams and in visions. And after you there will be other chosen prophets, and in the end there will be a new earth and a new heaven, and for prophets there will be no more need.
And then there was silence, and the auras were extinguished, and the spirit left me. And when I regained my senses, I was in the fields outside Eridu. Seal of Endubser, Master Scribe.
The words of the Lord Enki, firstborn son of Anu, who reigns on Nibiru. With heavy spirit I utter laments, laments that are bitter fill my heart. How smitten is the land, its people delivered to the evil wind, its stables abandoned, its sheepfolds emptied. How smitten are the cities, their people piled up as dead corpses, afflicted by the evil wind. How smitten are the fields, their vegetation withered, touched by the evil wind. How smitten are the rivers, nothing swims anymore, pure sparkling waters turned into poison. Of its black-headed people, Shama is emptied, gone is all life. Of its cattle and sheep Shama is emptied, silent is the home of churning milk. In its glorious cities, only the wind howls, death is the only smell. The temples whose heads to heaven arose by their gods have been abandoned. Of lordship and kingship command there is none, scepter and tiara are gone. On the banks of the two great rivers, once lush and life-giving, only weeds store. No one treads the highways, no one seeks out the roads, flourishing Shama is like an abandoned desert. How smitten is the land, home of gods and men. On that land a calamity fell, one unknown to man. A calamity that mankind had never before seen, one that could not be withstood. On all the lands, from west to east, a disruptive hand of terror was placed. The gods, in their cities, were helpless as men. An evil wind, a storm born in a distant plain, a great calamity wrought in its path. A death-dealing wind born in the west its way to the east has made its course set by fate. A storm devouring as the deluge, by wind and not by water a destroyer, by poison air, not tidal waves overwhelming. By fate, not destiny, was it engendered, the great gods, in their council, the great calamity had caused. By Enlil and Ninhursag it was permitted, I alone for a halt was beseeching. Day and night to accept what the heavens decree I argued, to no avail. Ninata, Enlil's warrior son, and Nagor, my very own son, poisoned weapons in the great plain then unleashed. That an evil wind shall follow the brilliance we knew not. They now cry in agony, that the death-dealing storm, born in the west, its course to the east shall make, who could foretell? The gods now bemoan. In their holy cities, the gods stood disbelieving as the evil wind toward Shama made its way. One after another the gods fled their cities, their temples abandoned to the wind. In my city, Eridu, as the poison cloud approached, I could do nothing to stop it. Escape to the open steppe. To the people I gave instructions. With Ninki, my spouse, the city I abandoned. In his city Nippur, place of the born heaven, earth, Enlil could do nothing to stop it. The evil wind against Nippur was onrushing. In his celestial boat, Enlil and his spouse hurriedly took off. In ur-maḥ, city of kingship, Nana to his father Enlil for help cried. In the place of the temple that to heaven in 7 steps rises, Nana the hand of fate refused to heed. My father who begot me, great God who to ur had granted kingship, turn the evil wind away. Nana pleaded. Great God who decrees the fates, let ur and its people be spared, your praises to continue. Nana appealed. Enlil answered his son Nana, noble son, your wondrous city kingship was granted, eternal reign it was not granted. Take hold of your spouse Ningal, flee the city. Even I who decree fates, its destiny I cannot bend. Thus did Enlil my brother speak, alas, alas, not a destiny it was. A calamity none greater since the deluge gods and earthlings has befallen, alas, not a destiny it was. The great deluge was destined to happen, the great calamity of the death-dealing storm was not. By the breach of a vow, by a council decision it was caused, by weapons of terror was it created. By a decision, not destiny, were the poison weapons unleashed, by deliberation was the lot cast. Against Marduk, my firstborn, did the 2 sons destruction direct, vengeance was in their hearts. Ascendancy is not Marduk's to grasp. Enlil's firstborn shouted. With weapons I shall oppose him, Ninata said. Of people he raised an army, Babili as earth's navel to declare. Nagor, Marduk's brother, so shouted. In the council of the great gods, words of venom were spread. Day and night I raised my opposing voice, peace I counseled, deploring haste. For the second time the people have raised his heavenly image, why does opposing continue? I asked in pleading, have all the instruments been checked? Did not the era of Marduk in the heavens arrive? I once more inquired, Ninjishida, my very son, other signs of heaven cited. His heart, I knew, Marduk's injustice to him could not forgive. Nana, to Enlil on earth born, was unrelenting too. Marduk my temple in the north city his own abode made. So he said, Ishkur, Enlil's youngest, punishment demanded, in my lands to whore after him the people he made. He said, You too, son of Nana, at Marduk's son noble his wrath directed, the place of the celestial chariots he tried to seize. Inanna, twin of you two, was furious of awe, the punishment of Marduk for the killing of her beloved Dumuzi she still demanded. Ninhasag, mother of gods and men, her gaze diverted. Why is not Marduk here? She only said, Jibu, my own son, with gloom replied, Marduk has all entreaties put aside, by the signs of heaven his supremacy he claims. Only with weapons will Marduk be stopped. Ninata, Enlil's firstborn, shouted. You two about protecting the place of the celestial chariots was concerned, in Marduk's hands it must not fall. So he said, Nagor, lord of the lower domain, ferociously was demanding, let the olden weapons of terror for obliteration be used. At my own son I gazed in disbelief, for brother against brother the terror weapons have been forsworn. Instead of consent, there was silence. In the silence Enlil opened his mouth, punishment there must be, like birds without wings the evildoers shall be. Marduk and noble us of heritage are depriving, let them of the place of the celestial chariots be deprived. Let the place be scorched to oblivion. Ninata shouted, the one who scorches let me be. Excited, Nagor stood up and shouted, let the evildoer cities also be upheavaled. The sinning cities let me obliterate, let the annihilator my name thereafter be. The earthlings, by us created, must not be harmed, the righteous with the sinners must not be perished, I forcefully said. Nin-Hasag, my creating helpmate, was consenting. The matter is between the gods alone to settle, the people must not be harmed. Anu, from the celestial abode, to the discussions was giving much heed. Anu, who determines fates, from his celestial abode his voice made heard. Let the weapons of terror be these ones used, let the place of the rocket ships be obliterated, let the people be spared. Let Nenata the Scorcher be, let Nagu be the annihilator. So did Enlil the decision announce. To them, a secret of the gods I shall reveal, the hiding place of the terror weapons to them I shall disclose. The two sons, one mine, one his, to his inner chamber Enlil summoned. Nagu, as he went by me, his gaze averted. Alas! I cried out without words, brother has turned against brother. Are the prior times fated to repeat? A secret from the olden times to them Enlil was revealing, the weapons of terror to their hands entrusting. Clad with terror, with a brilliance they are unleashed, all they touch to a dust heap they turn. For brother against brother on earth they were forsworn, neither region to affect. Now the oath was undone, like a broken jar in useless pieces. The two sons, full of glee, with quickened step from Enlil's chamber emerged, for the weapons departing. The other gods turned back to their cities, none of his own calamity had a foreboding.